So first of all, I just want to say, please excuse any hesitation or stuttering in my voice. This is my first time recording a review of a movie for YouTube, and I'm kind of nervous, obviously. Please also excuse any clicking or birds chirping in the background. I have birds. They chirp a lot. I can't help it. With that being said, let's start my review of the movie Zootopia. Zootopia is a new Disney movie about racism. Yeah. It focuses on Judy Hopps, the first bunny cop, and Nick Wilde, a fox con artist, teaming up to solve the mystery of animals suddenly disappearing. The movie starts out with a young 9-year-old Judy Hopps giving a play about predators and prey, a very dramatic one. So dramatic she uses ketchup as blood and yells, "Blood! Blood! Death!" It's obvious her parents are embarrassed, but Judy doesn't seem to notice, carrying on anyway. Judy says she's going to become a police officer, much to her parents' disapproval and worry. And one of the foxes in the audience, very obviously the bully, laughs and says it's stupid. Judy is not deterred, however, and even calls him out. While outside, her parents try to convince her to give up, and that's where I'm going to have to stop. I get what they were trying to do, but if you're going to try and discourage a little kid like the way they do, that not only makes you a shitty parent, but a complete asshole. This is one of the issues I have with this movie, but I'll discuss that later. Moving on, Judy sees the bully fox, Gideon, trying to take tickets from 2 sheep and a bunny, so she jumps in and demands the tickets back. Gideon pushes her down and says, "Cry, little baby bunny, cry!" earning himself a kick in the face. Angered by that, he swipes at her and cuts her cheek. He tells her he wants her to remember that the next time she thinks she can be anything more than a carrot farmer, then leaves, high-fiving his buddy and laughing. The sheep and bunny run up to her to see if she's alright, and she gives them back their tickets. Then, in the most badass way possible, she stands up and says, he was right about one thing. I don't know when to quit. Honestly, she is so epic, and I love her so much. It then cuts to 15 years later. Judy is training to become a cop, and, well, failing. She can't even go on the toilet because it's so big. Everyone discourages her, but she keeps going regardless, and learns to use her special advantages to pass and become a cop. It's honestly a really cool moment and amazing to watch. You see how the mayor pushes around his assistant mayor, a sheep, and she struggles to be included in pictures with Judy. Asshole much? Judy moves to Zootopia, but not before her parents get involved, of course. They give her fox deterrent and fox repellent, as well as a fox taser. Overkill much? However, Judy takes the fox repellent to get them to shut up and goes on her way, after hugging her parents goodbye first. We get to see what the city looks like, and it's pretty cool. I think they were very creative in a lot of ways, and it's fun seeing what certain animals' communities look like. Judy gets an apartment. It's pretty shitty, and her neighbors are rude, but enthusiastic as always. She's just happy to be there. She looks at the fox repellent, hesitates, but then takes it anyway. At her new workplace, she explains to a cheetah, Clawhauser, how you can't call a bunny cute, which is just confusing. Is cute the N-word? Does that make Judy black? Haven't other animals been called cute? I mean, the cheetah himself was pretty cute. Anyway, because every fucking movie needs just... Because every fucking movie just needs a gross part, he eats a donut that was in one of his fat rolls. Nice! Look, kids, look at him eat the hairy fucking donut. Moving past this, slight dilemma, Judy is given parking duty. Judy tries to get a bigger job, but is turned down, so she instead does the best job possible with her parking duty. As she finishes, she sees a fox suspiciously walking around and follows him into a store where an elephant is refusing him service. She intervenes and gets the elephant to give him a jumbo pop, but Nick doesn't have his wallet, so she pays for it. After running up more tickets, she sees the baby Nick was with filling up jars with the melted popsicle and watching as the baby drives away. She investigates and sees them making smaller popsicles in the snow and selling them to hamsters. then giving the used sticks as lumber for building houses. In a humorous way, we see the baby talk in a very deep voice and drive away with music blasting. Then Judy confronts Nick. He tells her to basically give up and leaves her sad and discouraged. When she returns home, everything on the radio is conveniently sad and her food is shit. Her parents, of course, call at just the right moment and discover she's a meter maid, which they are just ecstatic about. The next day, people are angry about her tickets, and just as she's feeling her lowest, a pig runs up to her and tells her his shop was just robbed, and the chase begins. The scene is pretty amusing, exciting, and funny. However, she shows her love for the people, or, animals, is much stronger than anything else, as she saves them from buildings falling and a shrew from being crushed by a giant donut. She still catches the robber, however, who is a weasel, and yes, there's a Frozen reference. We get it. Back at the station, an otter is worried about her husband who went missing. While Judy is scolded by Bogo, Miss Otterton enters, but not before Bogo could make a second Frozen reference. 3 if you count the song, Let It Goat. Anyway, she pleads with Bogo, but he turns her down, leading Judy to step up. Miss Otterton is grateful and hugs her, but Bogo is angered and fires her. When all of a sudden, the assistant mayor joins in, telling the mayor about Judy, forcing Bogo to give her a chance. Boo fucking yeah. When overlooking the otter's case, she sees he was last seen with a popsicle, the same kind Nick was selling, and goes to confront him. She blackmails him into helping her, along with another bunnies love sex joke. They go to, well, a nudist club. Cue the furries. Also, can I just mention that Nick Wilde said it's not exactly a place for a cute little bunny, and if cute equals the N-word, does that mean he literally just said it's not exactly a place for a nigger? Because if so, well, moving on. Although rather flustered, she gets some answers, and it's pretty funny to watch. I really love this scene in particular where the guy with a clearly great memory is trying to get an elephant with a bad memory to tell Judy exactly what he's saying now. I just love it. Next is the sloth scene, which I'm sure everyone knows. It's pretty funny, but I think it's just filler to make Judy have even less time to solve the case, which is really annoying when you think about it. When it comes down to it, it's actually rather annoying, and I'm sure kids can't wait for it to be over, since they probably don't even understand the joke. They try to get past a gate, but it's locked, so she throws her pen over it, so Nick has to climb the fence to get it. I'm not sure if you throw like a bunny was supposed to equate you throw like a girl, or if the theory about Judy being black is right, he was saying you throw like a nigger, and this is exactly why I don't think it works well. It's more confusing than anything. They go in a car, and it turns out to be a mob boss's. Yay. Also, when Nick said, "Who still uses CDs?" I felt so awkward, because I still have records. Yeah, I'm 16. Think about that. They get caught, and the mob boss, a shrew, is about to ice them when his daughter, the shrew Judy saved before, comes in and saves them. Yay! I must admit, watching Nick try to eat a tiny piece of cake and kiss the shrew's hand was funny. After getting information, they go see Mr. Monches, who has a scar on his eye and nose from Mr. Otterton. He tells them about how the otter suddenly went savage and attacked him, and tells them about how he kept yelling about the night howlers. He closes the door to let them in, but goes savage and attacks them instead. It's an epic and action-packed scene with amazing music and animation. You actually feel scared for Judy and Nick. Judy calls the station, and Clawhauser picks up, talking about an app that makes it look like he's dancing with Gazelle. Judy loses her walkie-talkie thingy and almost falls, while Nick tries to get on the Skytrams. This is where his character really starts to change, and you can see he really cares. Right before Mr. Monches gets Nick, Judy locks him to a pole. Honestly, I don't know how she didn't slip off with all the rain, but somehow she got herself up again and fast enough to cuff Mr. Monches too, without him feeling it. Honestly, I count this as a plot hole or mistake. There's no way she could have done that. Nick runs away and falls, but Judy catches him, and they swing and land in some vines safely, at least for a moment, before they fall and land on leaves before getting tangled up in more vines. Bogo shows up, but of course, Mr. Munches somehow escapes before he could see him. More so, he accuses Judy of stereotyping predators, and then this asshole refuses to listen to Nick because he's a fox, doing the exact same thing he just got mad at Judy for. Please, someone help this man get the giant stick that's wedged up his ass out. He even goes so far as to try and take her vag, if it wasn't for Nick intervening and helping her out. Also, if Judy is black and Nick is white, presumably, when Bogo Stupido says, "Excuse me, Fox," is he basically saying, "Excuse me, Cracker"? Because if so, I am confused on where race stands here. Honestly, I am so confused on where race stands in this movie and who is what. After they go on the sky tram, we learn Nick's sad past, and honestly, it's pretty good and justifies his actions pretty well. However, it makes what races they're supposed to be even more confusing. So 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And also, this is when the ship starts sailing. But my question is, if Judy and Nick did become a couple, would they be a mixed race couple? Because that would bring so many more questions. Anyway, Nick realizes the street cameras probably caught everything, and they see the assistant mayor, Bellwether, and she shows them the records. We see even more, and we get to see even more of the mayor treating Bellwether like shit. They see Mr. Manches was taken, and Judy realizes the wolves that took him and night howlers must be connected. They go to where the camera showed and almost get caught, but Judy starts a howl. It's hilarious to watch, and they sneak inside. They find a secret room, and Judy pulls out her phone. They find all the missing animals, and she tells Mr. Otterton that she's going to rescue them all, but he tries to attack her. The mayor comes in, and Judy records him talking, but because her parents ruin literally everything, they call her and get them caught. They escape just in the nick of time by flushing themselves down a toilet. Yeah. We cut back to Bogo playing on an app like the most responsible motherfucker he can possibly be, and Clawhauser tells him Judy found all the animals. The mayor, Lionheart, is arrested, but he tries to convince Judy he's innocent. Judy gives Nick the carrot pen and offers him to become a cop, and Bellwether calls Judy over. Judy gets interviewed with some advice from Nick, but she says there are only predators going savage and it may have something to do with our biology. So basically, she just said the truth, which Nick gets offended and pissy about. Very pissy. It doesn't surprise me she said it might have to do with her DNA, considering Gideon said the same thing when they were kids. But I'm going to be honest. She was put under pressure, didn't have answers, was trying her best, and I don't think Nick had any reason or right to be angry. It seemed forced and only added so they could have a little extra filler. Judy isn't a saint or angel. She was trying her best and only said the truth. Yes, it may have made prey afraid and predators look bad, but it's better everyone knows what's happening rather than have their brother or son suddenly snap and turn on them. That would be much scarier. I don't know why her saying that gave Nick backflashes to his past, but I think that was also completely random and unneeded. As for the now there's a them, of course there's a them! Them being random animals. Not all predators automatically. Duh, Nick! Fuck, use your head. I honestly think if the roles were reversed and she had said, or Nick had said, it was in Prey's DNA, she wouldn't have gotten offended, but the general mass would have probably still been afraid anyway. Also, I get the whole "you're not that kind of predator" is supposed to mean you're not that kind of black, Muslim, Mexican, what the fuck ever person, but I thought Judy was supposed to be black, not Nick. So See what I mean by it's more confusing than anything? And when he asks if she's afraid of him, of course the answer is going to be yes. He's bigger than her. Anyone would be afraid of something bigger than them. It doesn't even have to do with him being a fox. Of course, the media takes everything out of context and twists what she says, and the stupid civilians say things like, go back to the forest. But at least Gazelle didn't jump the gun and freak out. She actually gave a pretty good speech. It's sad watching Miss Otterton say, that's not my Emmett, and I'll admit, that made me way more sad than the fight or making up of Judy and Nick. Judy sees Claude Hauser leave, which is once again something I find way sadder than the Nick and Judy situation. Also, since the city is apparently 90% prey, wouldn't that make them the majority, like white people, and the predators the minority, like black people, making Judy actually white and Nick black? Anyway, Judy leaves, which I hated because I feel like Nick blew everything out of proportion and none of it was her fault. But she returns to her parents at Bunny Burrows. While selling carrots, she sees Gideon, and he mentions how his family always called the flowers growing there night howlers. Her parents tell her how her uncle ate one when they were kids and went crazy and even bit her mother. She realizes the flowers are night howlers, not the wolves, and returns to Zootopia. She finds Nick and apologizes, calling herself a dumb bunny, which he records with the carrot pen and says she can delete in 48 hours. So they're friends again. While driving, Nick keeps some blueberries in his pockets wrapped up in a handkerchief, and they find the weasel, who is selling cleverly named animal versions of Disney movies. I have to admit, that was pretty funny. After threatening to ice him, the weasel finally tells them he was going to give the bag he stole to a ram named Doug. Also, Judy is now the godmother of Mr. Big's daughter, and she is pregnant, going to name her baby Judy. So sweet, to be honest. Judy and Nick sneak to a drop spot underground where they find a lab growing flowers. Doug comes in and makes the flowers into liquid, then putting them into small round balls that look like blueberries. That's important. Remember it. He puts them into a gun and says on the phone how he hit an otter in a car and Mr. Munches through his window. When he answers the door, Judy kicks him out and starts the train. One of the ram get in and try to bust down the door while another tries to get in through the window. But Nick opens the door, causing it to smack into the other ram and hit it back out, as well as Judy. Stuck in the window and the other ram running from the train, Judy tells Nick to keep going. He escapes just barely, and the stuck ram throws Judy on the roof. Judy sees an oncoming train and tells Nick to speed up. He does, and just as they're about to collide, she kicks the ram out of the window and it lands on the switch, changing the tracks. They tip and come to a stop on the train side, and they jump off right before the train crashes into a wall and explodes. They take the briefcase, the only surviving evidence, and take it through the museum. The assistant mayor, Bellwether, is there, and just as Judy is about to give the briefcase over to her, she realizes she shouldn't be there unless she knew what was happening. She tries to take it, but Judy refuses and tries to leave, but a ram blocks the door. They run and Judy trips, hurting herself. Seems awful convenient, but whatever. Nick goes back for her and helps her run away. The blueberries that were in his pocket fall out and Nick wraps her leg with the cloth that was holding them. She tells him to take the briefcase, and Bellwether enters, trying to convince Judy to join her. They trick the rams and Bellwether and try to escape, but one of the rams hits them, sending them falling into a section of the museum. Bellwether now has the briefcase and shoots Nick. Nick goes savage and attacks Judy, biting her throat. Or so it seems. It was all just an act, and Nick was shot with a blueberry, not a night howler, and Judy was even recording everything Bellwether said. Okay, so I actually like this ending and think it was clever. However, when I first saw it, I didn't even believe Nick really went savage because his eyes looked normal. Whereas the otter and jaguar's eyes went weird when they went savage. Anyway, she tries to run away, but the police arrive at the scene and arrest her. Now in jail, Lionheart says he didn't know her plans and uses Nick's trick of answering questions in interviews. Doctors make an antidote for the night howlers, and Mr. Otterton and the other animals are brought back to normal. We end with Judy narrating. We see Clawhauser return to his usual job and Judy giving a speech. Nick Wilde also becomes a police officer now too, but Chief Bogo is still a massive asshole. He pretends to give them parking duty again, but actually gives them a real case. Still a major asshole. At least now they get a real cop car. Once again, I am unsure if Nick saying, are all rabbits bad drivers or just you is supposed to be sexist, rabbit meaning girl, or racist, rabbit meaning a certain race. However, I will admit it was pretty funny. I will admit Nick calling Judy a sly bunny and Judy calling Nick a dumb fox was pretty funny and made up for it. And the ship continues to sail! It was also hilarious that the speeding driver at the end was the sloth. We then get Giselle singing For All the Furries, and the credits. We get to see everyone dance and have fun, even Lionheart who's in prison, and we also see Bellwether, though she is angry and not in the least bit having fun. Weaselton is there too, trying to pickpocket. It's a good ending to a good movie. Overall, the movie is good. I'd watch it again. I'd rate it a 2 or 3. It doesn't handle the topic it's trying to tackle very well, especially when compared to a movie like Cats Don't Dance, but it gets its message through decently. It's very confusing with race. At first it seems like prey are put at the disadvantages, being called meek and cute, told they can't be things like police officers and degraded. It doesn't make sense because wouldn't they want smaller animals to be able to chase and fight animals in smaller parts of the city? It's definitely amusing and interesting to watch, even if it has its slow parts. I love Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde. Most of the characters were pretty enjoyable and likable. The only ones I really disliked were Bogo Butthead, Judy's parents, and maybe Lionheart. I think Mayor Bellwether was done very, very, very well, and I really like her character. Gideon was also one I liked, even though he was dumb. At least he could learn from his past to make a better future and could apologize. Back on Judy's parents, I think they are honestly the worst parents in an animated film I've seen so far. They're selfish, only ever there to put Judy down, and they're pretty paranoid. They don't even try to hide it either. They're really shitty parents and horrible characters. It would be different if they had grown and changed, but they don't. Even if you count them letting Gideon work with them, it doesn't change that they still don't seem to have any faith or pride in Judy. Chief Bogo was also an annoying and rather unneeded character. All he does is make things harder for her, which literally everyone else was already doing. At least he actually gets some development and changes, but for the most part, he was just an asshole. The animation is very good. I haven't seen an attractive female cartoon character since Rapunzel or an attractive male cartoon character since Jack Frost, but Zootopia really brought new favorites. I don't even like the stupid trend, if you'd call it, of drawing girls with gigantic eyeballs, but I have to admit it was actually pretty here. At least decent and tolerable. I didn't find any mistakes or inconsistencies, which is a very good thing. The only thing I can really point out is how Judy's siblings all stayed the same ages, even after all those years. And why is she the only one who wanted change anyway? The music was fantastic. It really gets you into the atmosphere of certain scenes. Although hearing the same song over and over again gets annoying at best, it's a decent song that I can tolerate. The plot is good and it's a pretty funny movie. In the beginning, when her dad asks if she ever wondered how her parents got to be happy, and she says, "Nope," was very funny. It's also amusing watching Gideon's stupidity, like him calling DNA dinner. It was also funny when Bogo says, "We need to address the elephant in the room," and proceeds to wish the elephant a happy birthday, or when the baby that Nick Wilde was with is revealed to have a deep voice, or even when Judy has to give herself a parking ticket. There are parts that will make you laugh out loud or be brought to tears by. There were some references and Easter eggs, though I couldn't spot the Mickey Mouse. It's also funny seeing the animal versions of media, like Katy Perry and Let It Goat, as well as Lucky Chomps and Disney movies like Pig Hero 6, Wrangled, Wreck-It Rhino, Meow-Anna, Jurassic, and Floatsin' 2, or the pun Popsicle. However, it annoyed me with how many Frozen references there were. Honestly, when I first watched it, I thought the animals had rabies and that's why they were going savage. Come on, it was a good theory. I would recommend Zootopia, just maybe not for your young kids that won't understand the jokes or will get bored. I hope you enjoyed. Please like this video and subscribe for more.